and future prospects of headache medicine.
Thank you very much, Nanette. Yeah. With me having a shades there because one doctor says, a headache expert says, the future for migraine patients looks so bright. We got to wear shades. Why? Because during the past 6 years, there were actually 7 medicines that were approved for headache, particularly migraine, either as preventive or as therapeutic. And if you can see in this picture, way back there, they were banging the pot on this patient's head so that the banging on the pot would go to the ear of the patient and it would mask the pain of the headache. But as they say, study the past if you would define the future. So way back there, this was 1200 BC, there was this, this papyrus that tells you about pain similar to migraine, neuralgia, and shooting head pains. But even way back, 7000 BC, there was already the, evidence for trepanation. I think this is a treat that they do for patients with headache. And it would be nice to know that the perimeter of the hole in this trepanated skull, Neolithic skull, is actually rounded off by ingrowth of new bone tissue. That means the patient survived. And this was very popular in the past. Of course, it is very popular in South America and Peru. The procedure appeared to reach a high in popularity during the 14th and 16th centuries after death and after Jesus. But if you take a look at 500 BC, okay, there was this guy, our boss, Hippocrates, who said he seemed to see something shining before him like a light, usually in part of the right eye, one eye. At the end of a moment, a violent pain supervened in the right temple. Then all of the head and the neck, vomiting when it becomes possible, was able to divert the pain and render it more moderate. So that is very descriptive of what an aura of migraine is. Now, in 100 AD, this doctor, Arateus of Cappadocia, termed the word cephalalgia. But it refers to a pain related to a systemic disturbance, usually of mild intensity. And if it's chronic and more severe, he termed it as cephaleia. And here you are, the word heterocrania. Okay, this consists of paroxysmal headaches located on one side of the head, which is seen in migraine, with changing location, it migrates, and intensity, and usually is accompanied by nausea, vomiting, sweating, dizziness, which we see in our patients with severe attacks of migraine, even with aura. And in 130-200 AD, the Greek physician Galen of Pergamon said that, he made connection between gut distribution, gut disturbances, and migraine. So he debunked the Asian theory stemmed from imbalances in body of humors of liquid. Of course, by then in China, there was already documented of the use of acupuncture for the treatment of headaches. In 950 to 700 AD, okay, there's this book, the Bald's Lee book, an old English medical text which includes 6 herbal medicine for half headache. Half headache, that's migraine. So there you are. Ayurvedic medicine was also being started then. Then Thomas Willis, okay, who introduced the term neurology and the vascular theory of headache. So there we are, 1672 AD, he was already discussing about the vascular theory of headache. He's a founder of modern neurologists, we all know. He believed that migraine was caused by blood vessel dilatations or vasodilation. And he accurately categorized different headache types and greatly furthered the understanding of headache mechanism and migraine trainers. Now, modern medicine, 1800 AD, Peter Latham proposed the vasomotor theory of migraine in On Nervous or Six Headaches, a very good book. Aura, which we see in migraine with aura, was the result of contraction of the blood vessels in the brain. And the resulting headache was due to dilatation, so the vasodilation theory of those blood vessels. Of course, we know that this is already debunked. In 1888, William Richard Gowers published the book on neurology, and he divided now the treatment for headache, not just for treating the acute headache, but differentiating acute from the preventive therapy, okay, which we are doing now, In 1938, American Dr. Harold Wolf and John Graham published this random study showing that ergotamine, a vasoconstrictor, okay, usually it could treat migraine pain. So now, because of the vasodilation, now with the introduction of a vasoconstrictor, they theorized that ergotamine, when it constricts the dilated cranial blood vessel, would treat the migraine headache. So he elucidated the mechanism of migraine and other headaches of vascular origin. And he supported the hypothesis that the aura arises from a vasoconstriction and the headache from the vasodilation. And this is being taught to us in medical school, which was very simplified. But actually now we know it's different. There you are, the start of medication in 1950s and 1960s. In the 1950s, research began on serotonin, one of the transmitters, a chemical nerve cell that was found to have many effects in the body, and including the blood vessel constriction. So therefore, in 1956, okay, that was my birth year, migraine sugar-coated tablets of ergotamine, caffeine, okay, and another antiemetic came on the market to treat migraine. Well, it was a huge success. Unfortunately, there was a problem with ergotamine because it's a vasoconstrictor. Again, in 1950s and 60s, we hear about the medicine methylsergide. Okay? This was first actually used by this Italian neurologist. However, it was good, actually. It was ready for preventive treatment, but this caused a lot of complications. So it was not used anymore. Okay? So methylsergide was used for migraine prophylaxis and cluster headache. However, the problem of retroperitoneal and retropulmonary fibrosis came in, and so this was not used anymore. Now, we know the medicines that we're using now. In the 1960s and 1970s, this actually showed the introduction of beta blocker. Actually, it was by accident because this Dr. Robert Robkin, he was researching on beta blocker, and he noticed that one of his patients with severe migraine, and when given propanolol, the headache actually diminished much. So because of this, a lot of doctors gave their experience, trials, and the FDA then approved propanolol as the first medicine for the prevention of migraine headaches. Okay? The migraine origin theories changed and released the study showing that migraine without aura, was not associated with any change in the cerebral flow. So this one now saying they're debunking the initial theory. In 1970s, finally, the first drug that has been shown to be very effective for acute migraine treatment, and that is sumatriptan, the first one. This was discovered by the South African scientist Sir Patrick Humphrey, okay? And he's targeting on the serotonin receptors on the cranial nerves and the blood vessels, okay? So he was researching on triptans, and this actually revolutionized the treatment for migraine, okay? This was patented in 1982. Sumatriptan became the first drug to be specifically diagnosed and designed to treat migraine headaches. As much as you know, more of the treatment are non-specific to migraine. And then, from 1990 to 2002, actually, there were about 7 treatments that came about to treating for acute treatment of migraine headaches. And you will see that in our session today and tomorrow. Okay? So in 1996, the FDA approved Depakine for migraine prevention. So triptan was very good because it was standard of care of treatment for migraine. Okay, but it was not good for patients with ischemic vascular disease, uncontrolled hypertension. Okay, so therefore, to perform better than a triptan, a new acute treatment should have a better onset, longer duration of action, improved response, and relapse rates, and a lower incidence of drug-induced side effects. Because of that, then, more researchers came in. So from 1992 to 2002, there were more introductions of other forms of triptans, and they were focusing mainly on the serotonin. Serotonin, okay? So the action is vasoconstriction of the meningeal, dural, and cerebral vessel, but then they were acting also on the 5-HT1D or 5-HT1F, which actually causes vasoconstriction, which is not good for patients with hypertension, cardiovascular disease. Now, if you go back to the theory of migraine, what used to be vascular model, the vascular model, it's now the neural model. And now the combination of both is called the neurovascular model. That means the origin of pain is actually within the brain with activation of the blood vessels in the meninges causing the headache. And therefore, this neurovascular theory actually relies on the release of neurotransmitters, among them serotonin, dopamine, GABA, glutamate, and one of them is CGRP. So the trigeminovascular system is now the mechanism now for migraine headache, which causes protein extravasation and sterile inflammation, causing the headache. And nice to know that the headache of migraine patients is not only during the headache phase. The migraine actually starts even before, and that's the prodrome, when they notice that even with newer imaging, they found that the things were lighting up in the hypothalamus, in the temporal lobe, even before the headache. So therefore, that is the prodrome that probably we have not been asking our patients. Now, among the various neuropeptides implicated in migraine, one that stands out is really the CGRP. Okay? The key player in migraine pathophysiology. The reason why there are now 6 drugs that have been introduced since 1988. So, CGRP stands for calcitonin gene-related protein. And the mechanism here is that during migraine attacks, CGRP serum levels are elevated. Number 2, the infusion of CGRP triggers a migraine-like headache. The triptans, which have been the gold standard, they reduce CGRP levels concurrent with the pain relief. And if you antagonize the CGRP and its receptor effectively, they treat migraine. So CGRP causes inflammation and vasodilation of the cerebral as well as the meningeal blood vessels. Okay? Now, starting 2018, actually we were very surprised that a drug acting on the CGRP was approved, and this is in the form of erenumab, given subcutaneously monthly, and this was for prophylaxis of migraine. Not acute treatment, prophylaxis. And boom, for the next 2 years actually, there were more drugs that were approved by the FDA, and these were all acting on the CGRP. One for the receptor, that is the erenumab, but the rest for the ligand itself. And in 2022, later on, the oral CGRP, the small CGRP drugs, these are receptor antagonists, were approved for acute treatment of migraine. Okay? So it was a long story for CGRP, the best example from bench to clinical practice use. And in fact, the investigators for this received the 2021 Brain Prize winner by Lundbeck, actually. So CGRP antagonism, it prevents neurogenic inflammation, number 1. It inhibits nociceptive transmission and reduces trigger vasodilation. So at the moment, that is the current real medicine that's acting on a transmitter or on a ligand that's really involved with either acute treatment or that can be used for prophylactic treatment. So there you are, more medicines coming in. Okay. So as I mentioned, it didn't stop with prevention of medication because they got also later on in terms of oral Gepants, the smaller one, for acute migraine treatment. Okay. Now, because the triptans, they would cause vasoconstriction and cannot be used for hypertension, for patients with cardiovascular disease or stroke. Now, they now came up with a new one. In 2020, a new drug was approved, and it's actually lasmiditan from the ditan family, not from the triptan, and they were acting also on serotonin, but not on the 1D and the 1F. It was acting in the brain itself, and this did not cause vasoconstriction. And the benefit of this newer drug, because it can be used now for patients with hypertensive and cardiovascular disease. Now, of course, Botox injection was there. In 2000, it actually was approved for chronic migraine treatment. And then newer treatment, you will see that in our lectures today, the non-pharmacologic migraine treatment. And what's the future for non-CGRP targets? There are now other potential targets, the PACA, pituitary adenylate cyclase activating polypeptide, the VIP, the nitrous oxide, so many newer targets to hit at for migraine. But the moment, it's for CGRP. Now, what are the organizations dedicated in the study of headache? Well, it was the International Headache Society that was established in 1988. They came up with a definition for the different types of headache, 130 headaches. You just have to go to their website, and the criteria for each type of headache entity can be seen there. Okay, it has entity for primary headache, criteria for secondary headaches, and there you are, secondary. Just type it. Just go to the website. Type there, ICHD, International Classification of Headache Disorder. Now there are many journals now. Okay, there's also journals for each of the major organizations. We are the Philippine Headache Society, member of the Asian Regional Consortium for Headache Arts. And what about headache medicine in the Philippines? Well, please stay because you will see more about the Philippine Headache Society. Of course, we have the Headache Council of the Philippine Neurological Association. They came up with the Headache Handbook way back in one year ba to? I think 1970s. And Dr. Canlas was the head, you know? So right now we have actually 22 headache specialists now. This is the mission and vision of the Philippine Headache Society. We came up with a book, and this will be given to you free if you stay for day 1 and day 2. Those who would be attending the session, our convention for day 1, 2, it's free, actually care of Pfizer. And we are working now, of course, headed by the Philippine Headache Society, PNA, the Stroke Council, on the clinical practice guidelines on migraine. So there you are. We are looking forward for a headache-free future for migraine patients. Please join the Philippine Headache Society. As we all say, headache does not kill. It robs you of the joy of living. And of course, in our song, what is known should be shared to all. Thank you very much.